Elephants. Did you know elephants pray to the moon? I look up at Annika, jostled out of my head. She is full of information, full of stories about this world. She has told me about frogs and whales and antelope. In contrast, I always feel empty and unknowing. Her words are what fill me up. At camp, I am made interesting only by my association with her. We have done what we always do. Hop the gray wire fence when the nature camp counselors aren't looking and the other kids have become too much. We stretch out our bodies in the grass under the sun, taking up all the space we want. I've only met Annika the week before, but we've already taken to calling ourselves best friends in that easy way that children do. I feel like she knows everything about me, though I actually tell her very little. But Annika talked enough for the both of us, and when I would agree or disagree in my mind, I always felt like she could tell. Now, I think that maybe Annika just needed someone to listen, and I needed space to be in my own head, and we were lucky to find in each other someone who allowed for what we needed. I shake my head in reply, imagining a group of elephants calling out to the moon, their trunks collectively raised like an offering. My mom told me, Annika says. She read it somewhere. This was how many of what we then thought were facts came, first to Annika, then to me. I was usually the first kid to be dropped off and the last to be picked up, so I had seen Annika's mom many times, a petite white woman with brown hair and piercing eyes, as if she were cataloging everything. She seemed overwhelmed by the sparkling bigness of her brown daughter, trying to tamp down the space Annika took up. When I would see her, I found it hard to reconcile her presence with the larger-than-life woman who appeared in Annika's stories. In real life, she seemed a little more ordinary, a little less big. On that last day of camp, our focus was on the pale white orb that sat visible in the sky, despite daylight still touching everything in sight. We pretended to be the elephants of our imagination, blowing trumpet sounds with our mouths and raising our arm trunks in tribute. We giggled, spinning and stomping our feet in the grass. Annika tried to stay in touch. We exchanged addresses and our parents' phone numbers. She wrote me a letter or two. But our dynamic didn't work when we weren't seeing each other in person. I would imagine my responses to her, dreaming up conversations in my mind, but I never sent anything back. For the rest of that summer, I still thought of her as my best friend. Once, it had seemed impossible, but it's true. Elephants don't exist anymore. There is so much to grieve these days. I don't know where Annika is, if she stayed big and bright and brilliant. I do know that the sun is too hot and the water too scarce and the air too suffocating for anything like a nature camp to exist now. But often, in the cocoon of my mind, I think of a time when two girls living very different lives pretended to be elephants worshiping the moon, and everything felt like it was as it should be.